I would now like to invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Rashmi Singh. Dr. Singh currently serves as Secretary, Department of Women and Child Development, Government of NCT of Delhi. Additionally, she holds charge as Chairperson of the Delhi Commission for Women and Protection of Child Rights. A senior IAS officer with over 3 decades of public service, she is known for her human-centric leadership in advancing women's empowerment and social governance. Her work has been recognized with the CAPAM Award for Excellence in Public Administration, not once, but twice. The Stree Shakti Award conferred by the President of India and the Leadership Award for International Alumni for the University of Minnesota. Dr. Rashmi, it is truly an honor to have you here with us today. Your work at the intersection of policy and social impact has been nothing short of transformative, ma'am, and I know everyone in this room is eager to hear you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So, good morning, everyone, and it's kind of little tough to be shifting from one very critical, sensitive topic that I was at, incidentally, in this building itself, and that was child rights, and that was child protection system, and that was all about convergence of efforts, putting child at the center. And so I was really hoping that when I come here, I would have the benefit of hearing some people on this, again, very critical topic, and that too, centered around women and centered around concern, which is not just like a national concern, but globally a matter of concern for all countries. But I did not have the benefit of hearing speakers before me, and I was also hoping that maybe I'm given some triggers, to be sitting in a panel and, then getting to respond to some questions. But again, I don't have the benefit of, getting those. So please do not mind if I, try and structure my thoughts around the issues through certain trigger points which were sent to me, because I did ask that what are the trigger points on which, you expect a response from a practitioner like me, who's been working on the subject of women's empowerment, creating better ecosystems centering around women. But here it is, of course, going even beyond women to be talking about, sustainability as a whole, environment protection as a whole, and looking at, of course, the livelihood potential for women, while looking at, probably creating more of green economy. And in terms of setting foundations as to why this topic is very important, I think a lot would have been said from morning, because I do understand that from 8:30 in the morning, you're probably discussing this topic, where the kind of data sets, the kind of indicators which underscore the importance of why climate action is important, why it is urgent, why there's need to do it now rather than waiting for tomorrow. So I think more than any data set, it is important that end of sessions like these, we go back more awakened, more sensitized, and with a better commitment as to what individually we can do on a particular theme that we have been speaking about, reading about, sharing experiences with each other. So I will not talk much about the urgency. Urgency is what the how we personally resolve to respond urgently is, for me, the basic core and philosophy of urgency of this conversation, because it is something which again involves all of us in our daily lives, in terms of the quality of air that we breathe, in terms of the quality of water that we drink, in terms of quality of care economy that we see around, which again affects all of us, in terms of the kind of resilience in the system which is able to take a shock, which is able to take unpredictable, unforeseen events happening. So it's that resilience that we are talking about. So important again that we look for solutions for climate action centered around women, good practices which are there, innovations which are there, but which need to be scaled up. That is what I keep challenging myself. That rather than patting ourselves in terms of thinking about, pockets of excellence, islands of innovation, what is today very important is that mainstream these innovations, mainstream these the pockets of excellence which we look at. Why not take it to the scale and speed of action which today we are capable of? In terms of resources, we are capable of. In terms of human resources, we are capable of. But what is needed is probably that collective thinking, that shared ownership, that collective action plan. And I think forums like these, when different set of stakeholders, again, I'm sorry that I don't really know, in terms of who all are represented here, but I do think that step through the UnPollute Sustainability Conclave has made sure, by what I saw just when I was coming here, with the type of people who have been brought together, that people who matter and their resolve matters. So I do think it is possible that if we today resolve that wherever we are, how do we take these islands of excellence forward? I would talk about some of my personal experience in terms of, the way I have seen the challenges and solutions emerging in places, say, like Jammu and Kashmir, now Andaman and Nicobar Island. Again, very fragile economy, fragile ecosystem, fragile environmental conditions there. And many of you, probably Jammu and Kashmir, may not be very, very familiar in terms of, what the entire potential therein. But you see, in terms of the tourism potential, there's been huge surge over the period. Despite challenges, there's been huge surge. Now, when I look at, again, the need for climate action, so what is bringing in people over there? And what is like one of the ways in which probably you can reduce, the risk involved is making the economy grow, making the youth thrive, making the women there be a part of the governance system. And when we talk about governance system, one word which I saw coming in was, women driving the agenda as leaders in the climate action governance system. I really like that, the principle that you are talking about. Why not women leading the agenda? It was really it was eye-opener for me to see how much difference women have brought in there in terms of promoting better economic opportunities for their own peer group by creating, things like homestay, by creating more of like green jobs available, and all through the local resources. Now, why it is important? If it was not taken in that kind of earnestness, even the period that I've been there, I could see that the place was going through, huge climatic shifts. आपने भी सुना होगा, गुलमर्ग में बर्फ नहीं गिर रहा है, लोग इंतज़ार कर रहे हैं, गुलमर्ग में जाने के लिए इंतज़ार कर रहे हैं क्योंकि वहाँ के स्की रिसॉर्ट्स जो है या स्की स्पॉट्स जो है वो वहाँ का इकॉनमी का मेन स्टे है, लेकिन नहीं बर्फ़ टाइमली आने के कारण वो इफ़ेक्ट हो रहा है. या वहाँ के फूलों की वादियाँ जो कि बड़ी फेमस है, जहाँ आप जाना चाहते हैं, या वहाँ के जो ऑर्चर्ड्स हैं जो बड़े फेमस हैं, whether apple orchard or all kinds of fruits, name it, जो बड़े फेमस हैं. तो everything is dependent upon a certain, ecosystem of environmental conditions. There was this huge concern कि नहीं, पहले जहाँ एयर कंडीशनर नहीं थे, वहाँ अब घरों में एयर कंडीशनर हो रहे हैं. In a place like Srinagar, and the first year that I was there, I experienced that. And I was actually staying in a beautiful place, जहाँ का पानी बड़ा famous हुआ करता है, चश्मे शाही. I don't know how many of you have experienced the water of Chashme Shahi, the spring water of Chashme Shahi, the natural spring water. But over the period, now what was getting challenged was that the quality of water was getting affected. The quality of the traffic flow, that is getting affected. तो टूरिस्ट तो आ रहे हैं, लेकिन उनका एक्सपीरियंस क्या हो रहा है? टूरिस्ट जो जा रहे हैं वो वेदर के लिए जा रहे हैं, टूरिस्ट ऑब्वियसली गुड एयर के लिए जा रहे हैं, बट व्हाट हैज़ बीन द एक्सपीरियंस? सो दिस एंटायर थिंग अबाउट क्लाइमेट एक्शन, हाउ आई सॉ वाज that a group of women, and not just one, but umpteen in number, youth umpteen in number, women, the youth, the girls who cared about environment, started using local, good practices. This morning I was talking to a very special, younger colleague, Shaila, who used to be my neighbor. Shaila, how are the trees doing that you planted? So it's not just that she planted, but she makes sure that she protects those trees. She makes sure that she creates more and more of such local community groups where, it's not about just waiting for big things to happen, but every day, the kind of principles that we talk about for climate action. I was secretary in New Delhi Municipal Council, and we used to keep talking about the 3 R's, which is reduce, recycle, and reuse, right? The 3 R's. Why? Because obviously there is now a huge competition amongst all the cities to be scoring well in the Swachhata scorecard through the Swachhata action plan that we plan for the cities, to be able to earn that smart city, good ranking. So I'm glad that sanitation, the way you dispose the waste, the solid waste management, they all are form, part of this competition. And there are, by the way, when I again bring women into the core, there are states which have done very well. I mean, Indore was known, it came into news for certain wrong reasons recently, for the contamination of water, but all the years it was known for, good reason of actually ranking highest amongst the smaller cities for the good practices introduced by the women into waste management practices, where all the 3 R principles were being beautifully exemplified. So here talking again about, the kind of good principles which we need to scale up. Say Kerala. Many of you might be aware about Kudumshri, the women's self-help groups, how they have brought in the practices of not just waste management, but also looking at, actually using the local resources in a more sustainable manner, for their economic sustainability. And if you look at the per capita, I mean, not just the income part, but if you look at the indicators on the whole, the development indicators, you find that the parameters related with health and education, they're all in a very positive, trajectory when it comes to the women's participation and women leading, sustainable practices. Similar thing in Andaman. I talked about Jammu and Kashmir, I talked about Kerala, but when I went to Andaman, again, there was this huge issue, concern about coastal areas, the tourist inflow coming in, waste not getting, proper treatment in terms of huge accumulation of plastic waste around. So huge cultural change is what was felt to be, required in making children ambassadors. And I'm really glad that, again, I found that there was a lot of openness in, women coming up with innovative solutions. I had people, self-help groups, who were trained into, making, say, local, products like coconut into all kinds of resources to be leveraged rather than, developing more of the consumer culture through, economy which was probably not customized to looking at how much that island could bear. So every place has its own carrying capacity. Andaman had its own carrying capacity. Jammu and Kashmir has its own, kind of challenges. What kind of ecosystem are you looking at? So very important that this awareness about sustainable practices has to seep in. And as I said, that it cannot just wait from, on a policy level, because there are like everyday responses which are important to be built into our culture. And I think women, and traditionally, when we look at the role, the intergenerational learning which are passed on by the women, be it practices as agripreneurs. When I go to my village in Bihar, I find that women who have not had any kind of formal, agricultural scientist background, yet they probably know so much more in terms of indigenous practices, local practices, which we should, try and document. And we should try and have those created, in the form of learning materials to be used for others. Because I find that many of these practices otherwise are just going to disappear. And it is happening because, the kind of communication that we need, the kind of repository of knowledge that we need to be built. So there's somehow we are not able to actually take it to, that level of grassroots penetration, whether in terms of getting the indigenous knowledge practices of the tribal women living in the forest, or on the fringes, or as I said, that the, local communities in in other states of, they are not getting documented. So I think very important that we recognize that kind of leadership coming from practice, coming from indigenous practice, coming from local practice, and organizations like these, which are looking at ways of creating more of, good practices to getting scaled up. I think important that we have knowledge sharing done by the women who have probably never been able to come and talk using a mic. मुश्किल होता है सबको कि माइक पे आकर के बोलने के लिए, लेकिन शायद उनकी भाषा में जाकर के हमें करना होगा. We have all kinds of tools and technologies. AI लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉड्यूल पे काम कर रहा है. तो वो अगर हम कैपेसिटीज लेकर के आते हैं क्लाइमेट एक्शन में, women का role in various kinds of, like, whether agriculture based practices, or jaise, once again, if I go back to Jammu and Kashmir, how they recycle. And the shawl that I'm wearing, why I particularly decided, ye shayad 100 saal purana kahin ka, it was like a curtain, and given in some kabadi, which somehow it came to me, when I went there, I bought it and had it recycled. So women actually are capable of, creating those kinds of, innovative practices for the use of each and everything which we might not recognize the importance of. So usko, because I think it is very important that coming in forums like these, as I talk to you, I also get a chance to reflect. I mean, I'm being very honest that I get a chance to reflect. So I think as government, be it any policy, we should also try and see that be it any sector, whether horticulture, technology enabled documentation and dissemination and customization, so that the benefits of whatever we are talking about, that goes to the last mile. Because again, the benefits cannot remain just in policy. Benefits cannot remain just in looking at, certain recommendations coming. So I think what is very important, that if we feel that, okay, something works, why not get it more and more, localized through the support of various stakeholders? We don't have to do everything ourselves. But I think it is very, very important that we identify those champions, wherever the intent gets translated into action. Because I think today it is a call for action, again, for a very climate resilient environment, the ecosystem that we are looking at, where government is important, where environmentalist is important, technocrats are important, experts are important, bureaucrats are important, but at the same time, every youth is important, every woman is important, every household is important, every community is important. So that call for action has to involve everybody with a very, very collective ownership, collective commitment that their action matters and not left for tomorrow, but today. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You want some questions? Maybe I think you have a crowd. Yeah, because actually I don't like monologues, so it's better that you can have.
Thank you so much. I rarely hear, I think, some comments, especially from a bureaucrat, so grounded in reality and absolutely on point. So congratulations on that for sure. I think you immediately brought to the point the role of women in, let's say, the waste management space. I don't want to talk about climate at large because it's such a wide topic. And you talked about the 3 Rs and how it comes so organically, so naturally to women to be drawn to that idea. Today, however, because I work in a venture capital fund, so I realize that funding businesses like those is harder than funding a traditional business. In simple words, making a new shawl is today cheaper and easier than actually procuring, recycling, and reselling a shawl, right? And it's just so unfortunate, but that's the reality of the world today. What can government do, or what is today government's thinking on specifically promoting this segment of business? Because left to market forces, these businesses will not attract that quality of capital. So, yeah, that's my specific question. Thanks.
One which is immediately coming to my mind is GI. Yeah, the geographical, the tagging of the, if we use this as an example, so anything which comes as a GI, that it's like localized, so value goes up. So if the value goes up, the ethnicity, that coming with a story, that coming with a story also enables us probably to carry forward that heritage value. And when I say localized value, like saffron, say, grown in Kashmir will have a very different, like from Pampore in Kashmir. So that sells at another price. And, there are people who are giving up many, I would say the land is being given up, to go to larger manufacturing sectors, because they feel land is not yielding the right dividends. Why it's not yielding the right dividends is because we have not been able to market it with the story. So I think where government is helping is to create that story now with the GI tags. So be it in like, produce, agricultural produce, or, items like handicrafts. So, and of course, like startups, you do have a policy of supporting startups. MSME has a policy of, again, looking at promoting women startups, women business. So that also helps.
So, sorry, just want to leave with a request or a thought as well. Since you said that, maybe we leave these spaces with some inspiration and some ideas as well. You talked about GI tag, you talk about women entrepreneurs. You also talked about reducing and recycling space. My request is if we can specifically come up with funding on reused and recycled sort of businesses, especially being led by women, I think it would really be a game changer in the space of waste, climate, pollution, whatever you would think of. So
It's a very, very, very good suggestion. And certainly, more of that viability gap funding mechanism
Yes,
can help.
absolutely.
Yeah, because it cannot, right from day one become a
Market ready.
commercial business.
Yes.
Yeah. So that viability gap can be a good option.
Thank you so much.
Questions? Yes, I see a hand there. Pass on the mic, please.
So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I'm Bhavini Parikh, founder of Banco Jonko, and we are into the upcycling. As Swati ma'am said, same thing we are facing. So I've started Banco Jonko in 2019. When we pitch, they first ask, ki how much revenue you have generated. They will not see the impact. They see the business. They want the revenue, right? So that is the biggest challenge we were facing till today. And we have trained the women all over the India level, from Himachal to Gujarat to Maharashtra, everywhere, more than 5,000 women. We have received lots and lots of the awards, recognitions, media, feature. But what about this is the challenges we are facing, as a startup, as all that things. We have the product. We are first upcycle manufacturer registered by the government of India. They are doing wonderful. But still, to generate the revenue is the biggest challenge, because we are also listed on the GEM. But people don't know about the upcycle category at all. And that is where the government need to create the awareness and all that thing. So we are looking for your support. Thank you so much.
You see, in terms of the policy dialogue, it is very important again that proceedings like these, your recommendation should also go to forums like, say, Niti Aayog. Yeah, because when a policy is made, so the stakeholder consultation should not just wait for another conference to happen, but I would strongly suggest that you should give these takeaways also there, where like policies get translated into commitments by different departments when they start making their policies. But Niti Aayog can act as like more of aggregator, because it's not just one department, it's also like different ministries which would have a role in this. And of course, like the awareness, the communication, and more of the supply side and the demand side. Like, so both have to work together. So the demand side, how many people are really aware the value today? We are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. But unless the demand side gets really strengthened about really knowing Atmanirbharta mein, all these things make a part of your Atmanirbharta. Yeah, where even if it comes with a price, it's coming with that, pride behind the price. Thank you.
And we are planning to present a report. After we finish the conference, we will present the report. So next question. Can we take on?
All right. If I can, please, ma'am.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. I am from Bhagirath Laboratories. I am working in climatic. As a woman entrepreneur, two things I have to face from government people. My mentor is from Niti Aayog, not from the state, but from Ramao Margi Prabodhini. What I experienced is that, मैडम आप क्यों भागा दौड़ी कर रही हो? आपका knowledge है ना, किसी और को दे दो. See, lady cannot do भागा दौड़ी. Lady cannot work for business. And yeah, so is there any policy which can protect women like us from getting pressure like that? Don't do the business. You are budhiya, you are aurat. And Niti Aayog said that, okay? So why don't हम लोग कर नहीं सकते क्या?
Okay, so let me react to that. When you say Niti Aayog said that, maybe, and you're talking about an individual, right? Because often institutions are branded, by the response, by experience which you face, vis-a-vis some individual. So that I would encourage should not happen, and it should not deter you, because you see the perseverance has to be there, because there are institutions meant for something. So the more you are able to follow up and maybe meet some other people. But
I met IIT.
and I also feel that bodies help rather than only individuals going and meeting. I think bodies like these, forums like these,
Yeah, we
forums, because you're part of a particular forum. So
Yes.
I think the associations, the forums, so they also have a role in being able to promote and project and do the advocacy where individual voice is not getting heard. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I had been in committees in Maharashtra. I pitched for Punyashlok Ahilyabai Holkar. I listened the same statement in different languages. So what I found is that why the percentage 9% of women entrepreneur and not it is 50% or 55%.
I'm just going to repeat what ma'am said. Perseverance is the thing. There is no second thought about it.
And I tell you, I've seen policies change with perseverance. There are like shift, whether in terms of GST rate on say certain items where so the policies also, they're not cast in stone. So please don't get disheartened. And at the moment, I can only say that because I'll not have a quick fix solution sitting here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the
There was a
hopes
hand
given.
here. Yeah, thank you.
I've got the mic. Thank you. Yes. Hello, ma'am. My name is Shalab. I represent Marwadi Catalysts. We are a startup accelerator from Rajasthan. During your speech, you talked about some heritage techniques which we should market to the people so that people would learn more about our women using heritage techniques for farming, right? Moreover, my question was, wouldn't the technology which other countries are using, bringing those technologies in and getting more productivity out of our farms would be better instead of marketing the traditional agriculture technologies which we have been using so far?
Yeah, I think it has to be a combination of both. Very important because you have certain USP, and that USP. I'll give you an example. Say in Bihar, in Rohtas district, Aurangabad, Bihar, where I kind of hail from. I saw that wonderful rice which was being grown over there, and the same rice now basmati in Dehradun. Uttarakhand basmati is very famous and selling at a very high price. And in my that native place, selling at very low price. Whereas when the connoisseurs, food, when they tasted both, they said that this local one was so much better, but yield would be less. Yeah, so yield is less. Now it's like, your A2 milk, yield is less. Your Jersey cow, yield is much more. But compare the benefits of both and see the value of both. So I can bring in the best of technology to enhance the yield and better fetch economic returns. But look at, again, the benefits out of it. Out of a particular quality of milk, out of a particular quality of rice, which is so much better, yield is less, but if I do better marketing, so it's all about whether I'm going in for, the genetically, what do you call it? It's modified, GM, right, GM crop or so technology definitely will have to come to play in terms of some of the good practices, but not always the final answer. Thank you.
Madam.
Hello, ma'am. Namaste.
Rest of time, we'll take two more questions.
Sorry. Yeah, hi. Namaskar, ma'am. My name is Neha Upadhyay. I work in Leh Ladakh region. We've created 14 eco villages and deployed low scale solar innovations, as you were talking about. Ma'am, I have a small suggestion since I work in the interior. आपने बोला homestay. सो मैम होम स्टे का बहुत केसेस हैं बिकॉज नंबर 1 वहाँ पे चौकी नहीं होती, नंबर 2 अगर विमेन गेस्ट्स भी होती हैं तो बहुत हैरेसमेंट उन्होंने फेस किया है, नेटवर्क भी नहीं आता, एंड वी वर्कड इन विलेजेस क्लोज टू द बॉर्डर एरिया ऑल्सो, सो प्लीज़ रीथिंक एंड come with some guidelines. Secondly, I heard somebody talk about Niti Aayog. Ma'am, I would like to say Anna Roy of Women Entrepreneurship Platform has been so supportive and so sweet. So I request all women entrepreneurs to meet her and be part of the platform. Thank you, ma'am.
Good, thank you. And see that point about homestay again, like, yeah, whenever we talk about any promising practice, so it does not mean that it will not come with a challenge, but very important for any practice which has a promise, nuts and bolts to tight karna hi hoga. You know, so that has, there is no shortcut to that. You know, for some time, if you spend time together to tighten these screws, then maybe it can evolve into a good practice, best practice and perfect model. But of course, role of government, certainly, in terms of not just making guidelines, but enforcing it.
Yes, ma'am. Some
Enforcement
checklist,
is
more
a huge,
chockies.
like any other policy. So that's why I'm saying it's not just about entrepreneurship, but any other practice. You name it and implementation has to be tightened. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Take one last question.
Yes, madam. Rashmi ji, the way recently we had a mother of all deals with European country, EU 27, 28 countries, and with US also a father deal. So why not to promote these type of women the way she is saying in a cooperative movement so that all these products can be exported also abroad?
That's a very, very good suggestion. Very good suggestion. And I think, you know, those collectives help in also bringing things to, you know, better resource efficiency. I mean, better kind of economy of scale. You know, otherwise, individually, it is difficult. So I think that model which you're suggesting is good and it should be taken forward. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. In the interest of time, we will not take any more questions, but I hope you're spending 10 more minutes with us outside so that we can continue the conversation.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And may I request to kindly remain on stage, and we would like the honor of felicitating you. Renu Shah, please. It's right there.
So, you know, I'll just end because I saw Safal Karobar. So we had like this, you know, innovation by a self-help group, women, again, Kashmir I'm talking about. They named it Asli Dahi. And why Asli Dahi? Because, you know, the quality of milk, quality of curd, you know, it was so amazing. Any dairy product, name it, it is so amazing. But that is the USP, the local USP of the place. So that has to be projected. And every place, as I said, coconut, Andaman, I cannot taste a better coconut other than that. Thank you. And virgin coconut oil, yeah, which women started making over there and which is selling very well. But it came with a story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was truly insightful and thought-provoking. And we heard about intent into action through data-driven, informed decisions and cross-sectoral collaborations, government, industry, youth, NGOs, and most certainly the rural networks.